Hello everyone. We are PhD candidates Zeynep Bacınoğlu and Özlem Çavuş, studying in the Architectural Design Computing graduate program at Istanbul Technical University. We will present you our paper titled Gamifying Origami, Rule-Based Improvisation for Design Exploration. The origami patterns, such as in Figure 1, are preferred in early design processes and applications. In design studios, students use origami as a source of inspiration for design exploration. For instance, Alpers in Figure 2 asks students for open-ended experimenting and spontaneous playful tinkering with paper through folding as the initial exercise of the Bauhaus preliminary course. As Barker states, the objective within Albert's workers was not to create finished works of art, but was how to design and explore the duality and latent potential of materials. The layouts based on regular patterns, such as Mura, Ori, and Reish, are widely and repetitively used. However, the students find it challenging to engage with these patterns in a situated and dynamic early design process. Although the design problems are ill-defined and iteratively restructured throughout the process, the lack of ability to understand and manipulate the complex geometry limits the designer's action parallel to design decisions. Consequently, the resulting designs are limited to the exact copy of the same patterns and poorly adapted to the design context. Beyond copying the same pattern formally, each pattern's underlying rules promise to extend the design space exploration in an early design process. This study questions how to incorporate the visual rules behind origami patterns in early design phases to obtain new forms beyond repetitive patterns. It aims to gamify origami to get users more involved in the design space exploration process. The first-year architecture students are asked to retrieve visual rule sets of the 3D patterns based on protocol analysis and think-aloud techniques. These rules are further evaluated to generate new formal alternatives. The participants' direct engagements with the paper intend to rely on Husserl's phenomenological epoche method, which demands the existence of the object satisfying the content of the intentional act. The gaming model is shaped according to the pre-experiment with the first-year students to understand the required level of knowledge that should be given to the students. As a result of the pre-experiment, the students found difficult the listed points on the screen, such as grasping Mura Ori example. And we took these decisions after the preliminary physical experiment. They are indicated as illustrated on the screen. Consequently, we decided that students should start to design with simple folded modules. To get students more involved in an origami-based design process, we offered game rules as a guide. The gaming process is created based on 3 main stages: start, rounds, and finish, as briefly illustrated. Groups of 4 students are formed. Students choose a base module from the pool in the first stage. In the second stage, maintaining continuity and part-whole relationship as a rule is defined to create a new module. The developed module becomes a cell in the 3D pattern composition and is attached to the previous module. At the same time, students define the visual rules with keywords. They get points for the composition when the process is completed or time runs out. After scoring, students forward the module they created to the person on their right. In this way, the first round is over and this iteration ends after the fourth round. All the points are calculated after the rounds are completed. The process diagram in the figure was implemented as a 1-hour exercise by 30 students. Based on students' origami design configuration and visual and verbal depictions, we grouped tendencies in students. Accordingly, the difference and similarities of actions and productions in between group members show the influences and learning from each other. While driving the design decision with visual rules maintained and continuity of two-dimensional origami modules, the continuity in three-dimension was not succeeded in a couple of groups of works. A difference between students' ways of thinking when they are explaining the visual rules has been obtained. Some of them expressed with analogies such as create a winding road, or some of them use the geometrical elements of modules. Moreover, the ones integrate the appearance and affordances of materials into their expressions. Shifting the eye between micro to macro and cyclic movements between the parts and the whole has been read in the students' depiction of visual rules. Some students referenced the whole composition when they expressed the relations between design elements. Others solely focused on the properties and relations between the parts of single modules. While the first module ruled the whole process in a group of works, the other group's choice of the transformation type caused to fade the dominancy of the first module. As the complexity of the origami design increased through the progressive rounds, the interaction between students raised. Even though the students were responsible to transform a single module, some of them intervene in the previous module and transform the adjacent modules according to his or her visual rule. The results of the study proves the potential of gamifying origami for the early design process. Folding as a means of connecting mind and hands fuels the imagination. Seeing and explaining the folded composition in an unanticipated way is the definition of imagination and the sign of creativity. Depicting what is seen with visual rules and sharing it with others scaffolds the continuity of the design process and promotes its transformation and diversion. Besides the transformation of two-dimensional patterns to three-dimensional configurations with folding operations, students discover materials possibilities and become conscious of volume and space. This study would contribute to the literature in model making, provoking creativity and detail development, and is significant for gaining 3D thinking over visual rules and increasing design variety in design studios. It would contribute design space explorations with novice designers in finding new forms through low-fidelity prototyping. This gain extends the student's perception and abstraction ability by being aware of the underlying geometric organization with visual rules. The limitations of this study are the number of students and time constraints. We kept the rule of each set equal. Changing the rule can be aimed to teach a module from the basic design education. Further study will consider the integration of the categories on the screen to the rule sets. Thank you very much for your attention. You can read the full paper for more detailed information. For your questions, you can email us. Here is the our reference list that we used in our full paper. Thank you.